Yes, that is how you go from average Joe to Griddle Pro.
After years of putting these griddles through different tests, I've realized that they open up a world of possibilities for different diner-style recipes to be made right in your backyard. Now, they certainly won't smoke your food, and they're not by any means a traditional grill. You're making direct contact with a flat piece of steel, like this is a huge cast iron pan, imagine, which opens up a world of possibilities to make things that cook and taste better on the griddle. And that's what today's video is about. From cooking so many different items on this griddle the past few years, hundreds of items, I've figured out 5 things that are better when they're prepared on the griddle, and you need to make all of them.
First up is the hash brown omelet. This thing is made for the griddle. You're not making this in a cast iron pan. So good. Got a tablespoon of butter followed up by 1 cup of shredded hash browns. Mine are still frozen because I was lazy. Feel free to pop them in the microwave for a minute, or get some of those fresh ones that are in the cooler section, like next to the milk at the grocery store. Spread them out thin as possible. Plenty of oil and butter. There goes your onions, peppers, ham. This is really just a Denver or Western omelet with the hash browns in the outside with the egg. Okay, so just a Western omelet, crunchy outside, unbelievably good. 3 scrambled eggs going in. Honestly, this might be too much. My recipe has 3. I think you could get away with 2. I think if you did 2 eggs, you would get more of the crunch from the potato. But this one I did with 3. Just keep that in mind. Experiment. Do whatever you'd like. Let those pour out real thin as possible, because there's no flipping these things. So you want those eggs to come out thin. Then you're putting the hot peppers, onions, and ham in the middle. Follow it up with that American cheese. You could use a fancier cheese if you think you're special, but I'm just telling you, American's the way to go on this. And look at the flip. Holy smokes, people. These things are so good, so delicious. The eggs will cook in the middle. The residual heat will cook. Don't worry about this. You just got to make yourself a hash brown omelet because it's delicious, delicious.
There's not a ton of ingredients in cheesesteaks, so in order to make a high quality cheesesteak, you need to use high quality ingredients.
Starting with a ribeye steak, because that's the most important ingredient, is the steak. So look, I've used the Steakums. I've used the shaved cheap beef from Kroger. That's fine. I'm not judging. I'm out here balling on a budget just like everybody else. But if you want to make a great one, use a ribeye. Throw it in the freezer for like an hour or so. Look, because you want it to get a little bit harder so that you can cut it into really, really thin pieces. You're going to get your sharpest knife, your half frozen steak. You're going to slice it down into thin pieces. If you don't want to do this, or you're not comfortable doing this, ask your butcher. They got a meat slicer back there. Oftentimes, when they're not busy, they'd be happy to do it for you. This is why it's always good to befriend your butcher. You never know what you can get from them. But if you want to do it yourself, this is how you do it. Freeze it, get a really sharp knife, cut it down very, very thin. Next, we have our rolls, our hoagie buns. I got Sara Lee Artisanal. You want to get these, the softest thing you can get. These aren't the best. It's just the best I can get from my Kroger. Really, I like to get Jimmy John's when I get Jimmy John's buns. Just make sure it's soft, okay? Onion, we're going to go ahead and just dice this up pretty small, and then that's going to go on the griddle first to start cooking down. That's the goal. Our griddle, I like to do mine low. I'm at like 350, 360. A lot of people there do theirs a lot higher. I just like to do this so that the fat renders out and then the steak and the onions just continue to cook in the fat, rather than just like immediately like searing these pieces of steak real quick and then having the onions still be kind of raw. I want the onions to cook down. I want the fat to render out. I want everything in there to be like juicy and fatty and steaky and just delicious. You'll notice we haven't added any salt and pepper yet. We do that after it's pretty much all the way cooked, because I don't want to pull the moisture out. So I do the salt and pepper later, and then I'll put the cheese down. I did provolone. You're more than welcome to do Cheese Whiz. It's also a great option. Put the bun on top. You're toasting the bun, melting the cheese at the same time. Oh, buddy, look at that one, folks. And then we're going to do the cheesesteak flip. We will slide the spatula on the bottom, bun on top. Got yourself a delicious cheesesteak.
There's a lot of moving parts to fried rice, so you need to prep ahead. And I don't mean a few hours ahead. I actually mean the day before.
So all of these recipes are listed below in my ebook that's in the description. There's actually 101 griddle recipes in there, just to let you know. This is crazy. You got to be organized with your fried rice. I just want you to know no part of my life is this organized. Like my car is a hot mess. Nothing else I do looks like this. This is just the only way to make fried rice. There's your rice on the right that was on a sheet pan made the night before. Get your griddle to about 375, maybe 400 if you really want to get a nice little crisp on that rice. I'm doing oil first, and that's really the only time I'm doing oil in this cook. Down goes the chicken thighs. You can use whatever you want. My wife actually hates chicken thighs, so I use tenders or breasts all the time. If I had my choice, I'd use thighs. I think they stay juicier longer, and that is my preferred chicken for chicken fried rice. But it's all about making your family happy, you know, so use whatever they like. There goes the butter. We're going to put the eggs in the front, all 3 of them. Now, I don't do it this way anymore. I'm going to show you real quick why. As you can see, as I chop them up, my spatula is going to get dirty because I chopped them too early. Happy accident. And then once they're done, I kind of have nowhere to put them. You could take them off and just let them like cool and put them on a plate, which is fine. But I had to turn that burner off if you caught that in the top. And then now I'm putting them under the spatula up there. So that doesn't really work. What I do now is I make a well in the middle of my rice after everything's down, pour scrambled eggs in there, let them set up. It's one of the last things I do. There's teriyaki going down on the chicken thighs now that they're almost cooked. Not a ton, just a little bit to give it flavor. This is optional. You can just salt and pepper them or put your favorite seasoning on there. Before you cook them, I just like to use teriyaki just to give them a little extra. People can add more teriyaki when it's over. More butter going down. This is a Paula Deen cook if I've ever seen one. There goes peas and carrots, green onions. So you can use fresh, obviously. I'm just keeping this as simple as possible. Frozen peas, frozen carrots, some scallions, you know, just try to get a good flavor. More salt and pepper going down. Garlic, really getting as much flavor as possible. Mixing it all together, letting all the veggies cook down. More butter. Now we're talking. And we're just going to spread that all the way around to make sure everything's coated in butter before we get our rice out. There it is on the sheet pan. Now I got wax paper under it, which I did not spray enough oil. I probably didn't spray any oil on this wax paper. I probably just forgot. I was cooking rice so late. So you got to see me kind of knock it off. Another happy accident. Learn from my mistakes. We're knocking it all off. So then now that it's all on there, we're going to bring in the soy sauce. And again, I'm just doing probably enough to make this look darker. You know, I'm not putting a ton of soy sauce in there because there's a lot of salt in there, and that's going to be on the table with the teriyaki and the yum yum sauce and the spicy mustard. Like, let people choose if they want to put more on there. Don't overdo it at the beginning. Just kind of get a basic fried rice here. And then we're going to bring it all in, make sure it's all mixed, double spatula. If you're not using 2 spatulas, you're not really griddling. Sesame oil is a must. You do this at the end. This is not a cooking oil. It's a finishing oil, but it gives it that real restaurant takeout flavor. Definitely get sesame oil. Do not skip on that. Put a little heart. Try to impress my family. That's how I make fried rice on the griddle.
Let's be honest, there's not another piece of equipment in your backyard or in your kitchen for that matter that can make eggs, bacon, potatoes, and pancakes all at the same time just on that one piece of equipment. This is where the griddle really shines.
All right, the full breakfast is, that's why I bought a griddle. I can't speak for everybody else, but it's why I bought a griddle. We're starting off with the bacon to go down, not only because we want our bacon to cook first because it takes the longest, that and the potatoes do, but also we're adding a nice layer of bacon grease onto our griddle to get started. Here's my general cooking order from when I worked at Bob Evans. Bacon and potatoes first, pancakes, then eggs, and toast go last. Eggs are always last. Toast is, if you're doing it on the griddle, you could be just using your toaster, it doesn't matter. But eggs are really what's last. Pulling up the rack here to kind of pull the bacon off, let some of the grease strip off of that. I have a smaller rack that I use a lot now, but big one works too. It just takes up a lot of real estate. Save that bacon grease. I put it right back on the potatoes. So I scraped it down. There's still some on the griddle. Then I added it back to the potatoes. That's salt, pepper, smoked paprika, garlic powder, And whatever your favorite breakfast blend of seasoning is fine for the potatoes. Mix them all together here, and then we're going to kind of just let the potatoes cook down. Probably could have put the potatoes down a little bit earlier. I didn't have to do the bacon all the way and then the potatoes. But this is just easier to show you each thing one at a time. Push the potatoes up to the top with the bacon. I took the wire rack away. I have cut that burner off, and now I can use it as a warming area for the bacon and the potatoes, just like I did in the last cook with the fried rice where I kept the eggs up there. I often do that, cut off one of the outside burners, use it as a warming area. Wipe everything down. Here comes the pancakes. This is just a generic like Kroger brand pancake batter. I don't have a from scratch pancake recipe because I'm not a baker, that is for sure. My only tip on this is let it sit out for 15 to 20 minutes. Don't make it last minute. It says it right on the box and it really does make a difference. Also, I use a little less water than the recipe calls for just because I like them thick with 2 C's when I'm making these pancakes. Chocolate chips, those are for my son. Little smiley face. It's not a very good looking smiley face, but you know, it's the thought that counts for these chocolate chip pancakes here. I also like blueberries, bananas, walnuts. Let me know in the comments what your favorite pancake filling is. So once we get these all down, the pancakes only take about 90 seconds per side. That's why they're right before the eggs, which, speak the devil, that's what the oil's going down for there. I'm going to put down my 2 eggs. Now, this temp is a little hot. You want to be 300 to 325 for your eggs, and I was still a little too high, and you'll see this when I flip them. But the pancakes were perfect because I was probably closer to 375, which is perfect for your pancakes. I have a whole temperature chart in my ebook as well. Look at this. Here comes the eggs, and I mean, they weren't bad for over easies. They were for me, but you can see they're a little darker than I would like. Onto the paper plate, keeping it fancy. The eggs were next, scrambled eggs. You do these slowly. By this point, I'd cut the burner off and I had the pancakes there, so the temperature dropped, and these ones did not get too dark like the over easies did. I never just dump all the eggs out right away because I did that one time and they all go down into the grease catch, and then you lose like half of the eggs that you brought out, and that's just no fun because you spent a lot of time getting this ready. And sometimes I make that little hole there and try to kind of make a well or a dam to dam the eggs in, which is a good little trick to do for the eggs. And you just kind of want to pour it out there, let them all slowly cook up. If your temperature is too hot on these scrambled eggs, they will get so brown so fast, and it's not a good way to do it. You never want to cook eggs that way. So low and slow, let them kind of set up, and then just flip them. There we go. Flip them over one more time. Pancakes are now over in the warming area as well. That's the beauty of the warming area. Second paper plate, that's for my wife. She's sharing with my son. And that's your full breakfast on the griddle, folks.
And finally, this is hands down the most popular griddle food to be made, and rightfully so, because when they're made properly, they are unbelievably good. It brings you right back to that diner fast food burger that everybody loves.
All right, we're starting off with our special burger sauce, which is hot sauce, Worcestershire, mayo, mustard, and an onion that we're grating into the bowl. We're not dicing or slicing, we're grating it in there. I got this from the Angus beef people. I had never tried it. I used to always make my burger sauce with ketchup. They said don't use ketchup in their video because it's too sweet. I thought that was a brilliant way to look at it. And this sauce is just phenomenal. I'd highly recommend it. It's way better than what I was making. Here's some Roma tomatoes. I like to slice my tomatoes thin for a smash burger because your burger's going to be thin. Little trick with the iceberg lettuce. Smash the core, cut it in half. Then we're going to do some Taco Bell iceberg lettuce. That's what I call it because that's what it looks like at Taco Bell. Easiest way I used to do with a pound of ground beef is just separate it into 4 little balls. However, now that we have my son, I can't just do 2 double patties, one for me, one for my wife. I need to give him his own little double patty. So I start taking a little bit off until I get some golf ball size balls, and I make him his own little ones. But look, with these balls, meatballs, do not smash them down, okay? Do not really make them tight like you're making meatballs. Loosely packed, loosely packed are these burger balls because you want them to be able to smash and get that crust. The other way to get the crust, this is so important. You gotta put them in the fridge. Put them back in the fridge. Let them sit there till you're ready to go. Do not let them sit out and come to room temperature. Mayo on my bun. I'm going to toast with mayo. If you like to use butter, that's fine. Just try mayo at some point. It's super convenient and easy. We're at about 360 there because as the griddle's preheating, I'm toasting my buns. You do not do your buns after your meat and a smash burger, okay? Look how that mayo turns out. Just give it a try. I'm telling you, folks. Give the mayo a chance, folks. But look, you got to do these buns first because the griddle's at a lower temp and because the burgers cook too quickly. So the buns are done. Set them to the side. Turn it up a little above medium on my Camp Chef. Should get me to about 450. Maybe we're looking at 475, almost 500, which is perfect. Put your burger balls down. You want to give them a little bit of space. Honestly, I could have gave them more space because we're going to smash them. I just needed to make sure it all stayed in frame so you guys can see what's going on. There's a parchment paper and your steak weight. That's a must have with the parchment paper. Smash these things down as thin as possible. Put some weight into it. I got 2 hands going there. You just want to make sure they get super duper thin. This is how you're making the crust. They just came out of the fridge cold. You're smashing them down as thin as possible on a very, very hot griddle. Those are your 3 things that need to happen for you to make a very quality sear on your smash burger. Look how thin this is. There's holes in there. Perfect. That's what you want to see. Here's my little baby patties for my little baby boy. We're going to go ahead and push those down there just to make this on the mini bun that you saw earlier. These are a little easier to push down, so can't complain about pushing these things down. I'm going to do a little bit of salt and pepper on these. Yeah, right after you smash them down. Then the burger sauce goes on as well. And listen to this. That's good, folks. So now we're going to scrape them up because, you smash them so hard with the side of the spatula. This is a good learning moment, another happy accident. I'm using the wrong spatula that doesn't have a beveled edge. You'll see on this second mini burger here, after I flip it, yep, there you go. I didn't get it all up. I lost some of the crust. That's because I need a beveled edge. So I put it down. I got my dough scraper with a beveled edge, but there's tons of spatulas that have beveled edges as well. And look how much easier this comes up. See how that just flips right over and that slides underneath it? The leverage just gets right under there. You keep all your delicious, beautiful crust and you just kind of slide that thing right underneath it. So you should have a spatula with a beveled edge or the dough scraper works. Now they're all flipping super easy. Great crust. Man, they look amazing. A little bit of American cheese going down on them for my son. Then just 1 piece for me and my wife. Don't worry, I just wanted it to look like there's only 1 piece. That was for looks. I'm not starting my diet till next week. Nothing's crazy going on. I'm not cutting out the cheese or anything. My son Cecil gets 2 just because he's a grown boy. There goes the burger sauce going down right there. A little bit of lettuce and tomato. This one is for me. Then for my wife, for my son, we're going to do tomatoes. My wife's just going to do lettuce. No burger sauce for them. They don't like it. I love it. They don't like it. Slide them all on there. And we got ourselves some good looking smash burgers, folks. You just got to put the lid on. Cannot wait to eat these. If you like these, you'll really love the recipes on your screen. Click on that video to check it out. Keep on griddling, friends.